In Parshat Beshalach, Bnei Yisrael have been ordered to leave Egypt by the Pharaoh after all the plagues that God brought down upon them. They arrive at a large papyrus reed-filled lagoon that is called Yam Suf, or the Sea of Reeds, mistakenly called for many, many years the Red Sea. It was not the Red Sea because they had taken the northern route out of the Sinai for many reasons. They were surrounded now by wilderness on one side, the sea on the other side, and the onrushing horde of Egyptians, led by the Pharaoh and his 600 personal chariots, besides all the other thousands that came with him, to attack the people, because they had, of course, relented. They said, how can we let these people go? They were such good slaves. As they approached to attack, God says to Moses, lift your arm with a rod, and I will cause the winds to blow and the sea to split. And God splits the sea, and the people of Israel cross the sea in safety on dry land. And as the Egyptians follow them into this, what we know now to be a trap, God, the winds die down, the sea comes back, and all the Egyptians are drowned. Liberation after 210 years of slavery. How do we then interpret 2,000 years later, or imagine the emotions of those men, women, and children, knowing that the Egyptian threat just was done away with, and that freedom stared them in the face? Happiness, apprehension, boldness. How did they express this elation? Well, with song. Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch defines song as an inspired or rapturous expression of an external event, and then I add the words, I twist his words a little bit, as expressed by the inner self. The Song of the Sea, sung by Moshe or Moses, is an ode of gratitude, of bravura about defeating your enemies, and ultimately of faith. In fact, when Miriam and the women took up their timbrels and sang the Song of Miriam, the words they used were from Moses' song. Shiru l'Adonai ki ga'o ga'ah, sus verochvo ramav hayam. Sing to Adonai, for he has triumphed gloriously. Horse and driver has he hurled into the sea. An ancient expression of military triumph, only this time we're not praising soldiers, we're praising God himself. Ultimately, Shabbat Shirah, which is what this Shabbat is called, the Sabbath of the song, and which we chant the Song of the Sea, and read the story of our liberation and salvation, celebrates the rekindled faith of people who had been slaves for 210 years out of the 400 years of exile in Egypt. This was an unspeakable disaster. And the way they chose to express their inner thoughts was song. After a respectful and spiritual silence of more than 10 seconds, the applause for our performance of Krzysztof Penderecki's Kaddish with the Warsaw Philharmonic last week was deafening and rhythmic. These were not Jewish people singing a song of triumph, although there were numerous Jews in the audience. One would have to be a revisionist of history to think of the 20th century as a triumph of any sort for European Jewry. No, it was a large audience of cultured, well-dressed symphony goers from Warsaw who had just heard the poetry of in Polish, by the way, of a very gifted 15-year-old boy who died eventually in Auschwitz because he wouldn't leave the Lodz ghetto with his sister, who survived and keeps his memory alive. The words of Daniel the prophet, who asked, Eli, Eli, my God, why have you forsaken me? Spoken in Polish by the great actor Daniel Olbrychski, and the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, chanted by myself, with an eerily sparse accompaniment of strings and responses of Amen and Yehi Shmei Rabbah, etc., by the magnificent choir of the Warsaw Philharmonic, male chorus, by the way, all males. Undeniably, this audience had experienced a wonderful composition as a song from the inner reaches of our being. In the center of Warsaw, remember, a city which before the war had 1 in 3 people in that city were Jewish. That's before the Nazi catastrophe. As many of them had been crying, they couldn't bear to break the silence of their thoughts, of their inner thoughts. Music, song, prayer, these are portals to a connection with our inner thoughts and with God. Whether we come to Anshe Emet services to listen or to sing aloud, or hopefully both, leading to prayer, remember that this has been our tradition for over 2,000 years. Let us echo the faith of Shirat HaYam, the song of the sea, and use our rod of song, as Moses used his rod, to sweeten the waters of life's struggles. Shabbat Shalom.